What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning back into the Hook 937 YouTube channel. If you've been with the channel for a little while, you know that we took the LSX back out of my GTO and we took it down to Steve Morris and dropped it off to go ahead and have that engine looked over and see maybe what was going on with it, because we had a couple of issues. One was we had a spark plug come apart, which actually didn't cause that much damage. You'll see here in just a second. And two, we had water in the oil, which was caused by a bad head gasket. So Steve Morris went ahead and sent me a video of him when he had the motor tore apart and just kind of explained all the options to me and what's going on with it. And I want to share that with you guys today and meet you at the end of the video to talk about what's going to happen next for this LSX motor moving forward on this GTO build.
We got this all apart. It does have leaker head gaskets right through there. So there's your leak. Probably into oil too, although it isn't up to the top side, but obviously it was definitely leaking through there, probably up through here too. These Athena or whatever the heck gaskets they are, and they just put this ring in there and there's no receiver groove, and there's no receiver groove in the block or head, so this thing just kind of floats there and just relies on it crushing this. I don't think that's all that great. If they put a receiver groove in there so it would capture all this, that would probably be better, but that'd be hard to do because then you got to figure out all the math on that. Did have one stuck ringland, but the piston really isn't bad. Long story short, you could pretty much freshen this thing up, re-hone it, probably use the pistons, the bearings look fine, reseal it all up, probably get rid of these gaskets, resurface the block, resurface heads, put like a Cometic in it, and leave it at the level it's at. Or we can, obviously go into it. I would probably, believe it or not, I don't think I would increase the bore diameter that much, because the problem with these LSX blocks when you lean on them is that they crack the bore. Well, that's because we get them up for 125 bore, so you just keep on taking more and more material out of it, making it weaker. So actually, I would suggest probably keeping it the same bore. I would, if we're going to lean on it harder, I would keep it roughly the same bore. We'll just do a custom piston for it, and we'll go just a couple thousandths oversized, and then do our piston package for it. We'll keep these rods because they're good. I think we'll keep the crankshaft because the crankshaft is good, so there's no problem there. Valve train stuff, it just has stock style rockers on it with a hydraulic, so you have to figure out if we want to change into solid or anything else. But everything is really realistically pretty good on this thing. Like I said, we could just do minimal repair and fix it, or we can start doing the upgrade to it. So kind of give me a clue if you want to, which way you want to go, and I can kind of do some estimates up either way of what that would be. But that's what I would recommend. Either freshen up, resurface, and better gaskets, or good pistons, leave the block, try to lean on this thing. We'll do a copper gasket with hoops in the cylinder heads and receiver grooves in the block. Try to make this thing as stout and as good as possible. Better valve train than what that is. We'd go with a good shaft mount rockers. Crank's fine. The rest of that stuff's all looking pretty good. Obviously different camshaft, whatnot. So I think that's about it.
Alright guys, so as you've seen, the motor actually wasn't hurt that bad, and to my surprise the head gasket was like the biggest issue. To my surprise, because I didn't think that we would have a bad head gasket. The motor only had 1,300 miles on it, maybe 7 passes. It never got over like 210 degree water temperature, and we never made the amount of power, not even close to the amount of power that the motor was built to handle. So in fact, we were taking springs out of the wastegate to make less power to try to save the clutch. That being said, I didn't send this motor to Steve Morris so he could change head gaskets. I could have tore it down and seen it need head gaskets and done that myself. I sent this motor to Steve Morris so Steve Morris could make it a Steve Morris LS engine and make it as bulletproof as we could possibly make it, because I don't want to have any issues in the future going down the road. So that being said, we are going to go with a custom piston, and we're not going to go for 125 bore. We're going to stay a smaller bore. I'm thinking we're looking at like a 416 or 415, which is like a stroked LS3. Custom camshaft, thicker wall push rods, shaft mount rockers. They're going to machine the cylinder head and the block for the fire ring or the combustion rings, whatever you'd want to call it. The copper head gaskets, new rings, bearings, all the machine work, and everything there. Also, on the cylinder head side of things, I know he didn't mention it in the video, but we were talking through email and over the phone. We're going to change the intake valves to a stronger valve. It already has a pretty strong in-canal exhaust valve, and they're going to do all the valve work to the cylinder head for that. So I think they're going to do a multiple angle valve job on the cylinder head as well. With that being said, this motor will be able to handle more power than my single 80 mil will be able to throw at it. So we're gonna easily make over 1,000 horsepower on ethanol, and we're gonna have reliability and probably longevity as long as we get this thing tuned correctly with the mods that are going in it. And down the road, you know, maybe it's 1 season, maybe it's 5 seasons down the road, we decide to lean on this thing and put a large frame on it. The motor's going to be able to handle that up to a certain point. We will hit a wall that we won't want to cross because I don't want to destroy the block in the name of making power. Also, I'm going to be getting the old parts back, so the pistons are still good. They're 4030 pistons. The rockers that were in it, they're stock style rockers that are still good, and we're going to be using those in the build in the future. I haven't completely dialed in or committed to yet, but I will be getting those parts back, and I do intend on using those parts, so that kind of helps me make that decision a little better, as well as the camshaft. I don't see me needing to use that camshaft on anything anytime soon, but it doesn't hurt to have shiny parts laying around. But that's kind of where we're at. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of just kind of the future mods that's coming to the motor that I just discussed, and maybe what you think Steve said about the motor. Just drop a comment down below. Give this video a like, please. And if you haven't already subscribed, please consider subscribing, and feel free to share the content. But I'm going to get out of here, and I'll be bringing you guys hopefully a video next week on some front end accessories, and we're going to be putting the clutch back on the mock-up motor. So yeah. Make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss any of that content, and I'll catch you guys next time.